Babbling Brook just down the street, how nice that you and I could meet. Your cool, swift waters rushing by invite me in to say a quick hi. I look and I listen, you're a moving piece of art that touches every corner of my nature-loving heart. Thank you for bringing such beauty to me so I can share it for all to see. Hi boys and girls, it's Mrs. C. I wanted to take you down the end of my street to look at a brook that freezes over in the winter, starts bubbling and has things growing in it in springtime right about now. I thought it'd be really fun if we could kind of discover this brook together. I did bring a pair of gloves because I really don't know what the water holds and I want to protect my skin. So I definitely did grab a pair of gloves from under my sink, and I brought a container, clear, so that I can maybe get a sample of the water, bring it back home. Maybe we can see some organisms inside, maybe some plant life. I don't know. This is just a little adventure. So follow me down. I do have my boots on, protective gear, and I'm going to be very, very cautious. So what I'd like to do is grab a stick just to see how deep the water might be. I can definitely see that it's quite shallow right here. I'm seeing rock and sediment. It's a beautiful rust color, and I love the way the sun is shining on it. It's beautiful. But I can also see that it gets a little deeper here. This is my stick, and when I push down here, it's about that deep. I don't think I want to go that deep. I'm going to stay right on the edge of the brook. I can see it's very mucky. My boot is kind of sinking in, which is a cool feeling. I don't see any signs of life, although I'm sure there are things living in this water. You can see that there's a lot more action down that end of the brook. There's actually some movement. There's a current. The water is moving. Seems a little more settled here. Let's take some water and see what we can see. Hold my container. Hold it up to the sun. I'm seeing some sediment maybe floating around. You can see that the water has a pale yellow color to it. I'm going to empty it out. Maybe dig a little bit more. Maybe try to get some more of the bottom of this brook and see what I get. Oh, definitely a different color this time. I was able to scoop up the bottom of the brook. So once this settles, the heavier materials are going to come to the bottom and the water will rise to the top. Again, I'm not seeing much, but I do like the different layers that I can see here. I'm seeing the sediment and some of the sand. Then I see this dark brown line. And then it starts to get lighter and lighter and lighter. It's really amazing. I want you to take a minute and just see if you can hear the sounds of the brook. I can hear some of the leaves. Water is very cold. I can even feel the cold through my gloves. But I love the different colors too. So if you're looking here, it's very dark, almost black. Then if you follow my finger, you're going to see the light is coming through and bending in the water. And look at the beautiful color that it's making. It's just fascinating. I want you to think about the words in the poem, what they meant to you, what they struck inside of you. Does it make you want to come visit a pond or a brook? The one thing I'm going to suggest is that if you do take a trip to a brook or any kind of body of water, you have 1 or 2 adults with you, that you wear the right gear. I have my rain boots. I also brought gloves because I don't know what this water holds. And I also want you to make sure that you're not stepping in anything that's deep. I used a stick to test and see the depth of the water. But if you're with an adult with them, they might want you walking on the banks or the sides of your brook, which are fine. You might need to hold someone's hand, and that's okay too. But sometimes it's just enough to look and listen and see what you can observe. Hi, boys and girls. I'm back at home after my walk to the brook. And like usual, I'm a little inspired by what I saw. Do you remember when I dipped my cup into the water and I held it up in the sunlight and we saw the different layers of sediment and how the water was up at the top, followed by the second heaviest layer and then the very heaviest layer? I think I want to show that on paper. So what I have is a piece of paper. I covered my surface with a little wax paper just because I know I'm using markers and glue and I want to make sure that I protect everything. And I'm going to start with what I saw, which was that dark black layer. So I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm probably going to go about a quarter of the way up. And I'm just going to take my marker and go across, and then I'm going to try to fill it in. Because if you remember, that was the darkest, deepest color that we saw in my cup. So I'm going to want to show that it was deep and dark. And I'm using a black marker. Now you might not have markers at home. You might just have crayons. And that's fine too, whatever works. And that's basically what I did. That's layer number one. That's that deep dark earth. The second layer was a lighter brown. So I chose this color, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go all the way across the page, and then I'm just going to fill it in. And I want to show the differences in color, just like our sample from the water from the brook. Now, you might want to take more time and try to fill in all the white spaces, but I'm doing this rather quickly just to show you the idea. That's my second layer. And then that other layer was more of the water, and we could see little particles of sediment floating around. So I think I'm going to use maybe a yellowish green color to show that layer where the water was. Okay. So remember, the heaviest material sunk all the way to the bottom, then the next heavy, and then of course the water was on top. And those are my three layers. But it's still not enough. I want to show some texture. So I have my Elmer's glue, and what I thought I would do was squeeze, hopefully it'll come out. Well, when in doubt, pour it out. And I can always stick my finger in it and use it as a paintbrush. You might have a paintbrush at home, or maybe even a Q-tip works good too. But I'm just gonna smooth over my middle section. Then I got some dirt or soil from the backyard, and I'm gonna sprinkle it in that section, just where I put the glue. Sometimes you're gonna find little rocks in your soil, and that's okay too. But I'm really looking for the soil just to show the texture. And then I shake it off. And then I remember what really excited me was the water that was left floating above. And when we held it up to the sunlight, we did notice that there was beautiful color coming through. And that's what allowed us to see the small particles floating through the water. And then I think for that part, I'm going to use some gold glitter just to show or to simulate the sunlight coming through the water. Sprinkle it on, shake it off, and then I'd probably finish with some sky, because after all, that was what was surrounding us, was the beautiful blue sky. And again, boys and girls, I'm not taking my time with this. I'm going quickly just to give you an idea if you wanted to do this at home. But I like the end result, showing that deep dark soil, the light brown soil, the sparkle of that water as we held it up to the sunlight, and then the beautiful blue, crisp air. So maybe you'll make your rendition of Babbling Brook water, or do something similar. Remember, use what you have at home. Some of you might have crayons, markers, glue, glitter. This was soil from my backyard. Everything's available to you. Just try to find things that work for you, and maybe you can have your own little brook on paper. Love you all.